A big goal I had when I started brainstorming this channel was to talk about Star Wars novels. I grew up in the 90s when the expanded universe, novels, and an occasional video game was all we had beyond the original trilogy. The first novel we're going to talk about is Inquisitor, Rise of the Red Blade. Inquisitor was written by longtime Star Wars writer Delilah S. Dawson. Dawson does some phenomenal work in the Star Wars universe and has a thriving writing career beyond. This is a full-on discussion of the novel. I'm not going to dive into every specific, but I won't be shying away from spoilers either. Inquisitor, Rise of the Red Blade follows the transformation of Iskat Akaris, a Padawan prematurely promoted to knight caught in the turbulent times of the Clone Wars, and ending up an Inquisitor. Iskat's journey is not just a physical one across the vast expanses of the galaxy during the Galactic Civil War, but also a deeply personal and moral journey. We start with an Iskat determined to be a good Padawan, despite feeling like an outsider and even feeling distant from her master, Sember Vey. Her strong foundation as a Jedi sets the stage for her transformation. She faces several existential crises that have been brewing below the surface, but are now fueled by the massive changing dynamics around her. The novel expertly explores the nuances of trust and betrayal within the Jedi Order. Iskat, despite her loyalty and the rigorous training she undergoes, feels an ever-present sense of alienation. Dawson meticulously illustrates how Iskat's perception of the Jedi Order shifts, highlighting a critical theme: the struggle between individual identity and the collective of an ancient organization facing its downfall. The narrative shows both sides of everything, though we're experiencing it all from Iskat's point of view. We see some lapses in judgment on the part of those around her, sure. We also see how she interprets things in a way that justifies her confused feelings. The novel never excuses Iskat for what she does, but also doesn't make someone falling to the dark side the hero. The transition from Padawan to Inquisitor symbolizes a break from her past and the ideologies she was raised with. The role of an Inquisitor is a role deep in the dark side, where violence and oppression are everyday life. Iskat justifies the transformation as feeling it's her calling in the Force. She's driven not by calling specifically to the dark side, but by a search for autonomy and a sense of purpose outside the constraints imposed by the Jedi Order. Dawson lets Iskat's transformation play out through the majority of the novel, making it a way for Iskat to wade into the dark waters rather than a few passionate moments that thrust her in head first. Not only does this sell the decision better and give us a look at the Jedi Order during the outbreak and early days of the Clone Wars, but we feel the tragedy of an otherwise likable individual doing the wrong thing for somewhat understandable reasons. I'm not saying I agree with the reasons, but I do understand them. The novel is full of the themes we all love in the Star Wars project. Freedom versus control, the nature of power, and the quest for self-identification in a galaxy of near infinite beings fraught with conflict. As Iskat tries to get comfortable in her new life as an Inquisitor, she's confronted by the realities of her choices and the impact they have on those around her. The novel presents a layered portrayal of a character who, in seeking to define her own path, must reconcile her past with the realities of her present. Iskat believes this new life will free her from what she perceived as the shackles of the Jedi Order. She goes from one organization to the next and is in way too deep before she realizes the grass is not, in fact, greener on the other side. Iskat's personal journey is used to shine light on the larger context of the rise of the Inquisitors. This critical period in the Star Wars timeline is marked by the hunt for the surviving Jedi. The wider implication of the Jedi hunt and the rise of the Empire adds even more layers of tension and urgency to the story. Seeing the Inquisitors through Iskat's eyes also gives us a new perspective on Darth Vader. The Inquisitors are the baddest group of Dark Force users, aside from Vader himself, and I guess Sidious. But when Vader walks into a room, they feel like they're drowning in the cold dark. Inquisitor, Rise of the Red Blade is a compelling exploration of identity, belonging, and transformation. It gives us a deeply nuanced perspective on the Inquisitors, having Iskat Akaris as the individual we follow. We get to see the Inquisitors as something other than villains. Of course, they're still very much villains, but now we get more depth on them. Dawson also takes the opportunity to work in some real-world tragedy. The novel opens with a frank discussion about suicide. To try and reiterate it here would cheapen the seriousness of the issue and her message. What's done so right about this is that the novel is entertaining, engaging, exciting. It fits snugly into the wider Star Wars narrative and also has something real to say on top of it all. I had a great time with this novel and flew through it. As I narrowed in on the end, I was relieved to see it wasn't yet another story where a light side user falls to the dark just to be redeemed immediately after. Redemption is clearly a theme in Star Wars, but I can't help but feel that the more it happens, the more it chips away at the significance of Anakin's journey. There's some smaller bits that the novel doesn't expressly focus on, but they jumped out to me. Master Sember Vay's job for the Jedi Order was traveling the galaxy and uncovering lost artifacts. These differing Jedi jobs are always awesome, and that concept alone is a whole new story to me. Another thing I loved was Iskat going from a traditional single-bladed lightsaber to learning to dual-wield two lightsabers, and then learning how to use the unique Inquisitor-styled lightsaber is also a great journey. Getting into the mind of Iskat while she uses the Force, what she feels when she's flinging an object, having the Force enhance her movements, or what to focus on when crushing an opponent's bones were all fascinating and took me right back to the new Jedi Order Legends novels. And one of my absolute favorite aspects that keeps replaying in my mind is Iskat's inner monologue about feeling the effects of the Force being used against her by none other than Darth Vader himself. I can't recommend this one enough. I have a link in the description to grab it on Amazon. Check out this transmission next for more deep dives on the Star Wars universe.